All right, folks. So when I saw this post by Greenhouse CEO on LinkedIn the other day, I knew we had to talk about it. Let me read part of it to help set the stage here for today's discussion. So, quote, recruiters and job seekers are each trying to use AI to solve their problems. But as today's AI tools get used more and more, hiring has gotten worse and worse for everyone. Ain't that the truth? We have referred to this as the AI doom loop, he says. I believe we can do more. Breaking the AI doom loop is not just important for Greenhouse, it is a fundamental imperative if we want to restore trust in hiring overall. Therefore, after 14 years, we are expanding our vision and mission, bringing job seekers more directly into our field of view and tackling the problems of hiring more holistically. So, starting today, our new mission at Greenhouse is make hiring work for everyone. That was written by today's guest, Daniel Chait, CEO of Greenhouse Software. He joins me now from New York City. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Chris. Good
Great
to
to
be
see.
back.
Great to see you again there. Your post really caught my eye, and that's why I want to get you on the show here and talk about this because it's rare that I see a vendor talking about the job seeker experience and changing that aspect of things. So, what did you starting out with there? Just what did you mean here by bringing this focus into job seekers here, if you could?
Yeah, so to set the stage, I think the job market is really broken right now. And, saying hiring is broken is like a HR tech cliche for decades. But I think what's different now is, kind of like the job market always goes up and down, back and forth. And there's times when, jobs are plentiful and, one side has the advantage. And there's times when talent is plentiful and the other side has the advantage. This is the first time I can remember where both sides were just feeling it's not working. Both sides are really struggling. And I think if you're looking for a job right now, there's this feeling of kind of hopelessness and that the system isn't working for you. And if you're trying to hire someone, you're kind of drowning in a sea of noise and there's getting more and more static every day. It's harder to find the signal. And so I think in that world, what we came to see was, our founding mission at Greenhouse was help every company become great at hiring. We couldn't continue to accomplish that mission without starting to tackle the problems that job seekers are facing, because the problems that job seekers are facing are often one and the same with the problems faced by companies. And so there didn't seem to be as much of a way forward in doing what we're trying to do unless we expand it out and no one else was doing it. So it needs to be done.
Yeah, I mean it's a way to I think differentiate yourself as well in this big ATS market that we have. You just describe the current hiring landscape as an AI doom loop
Yeah.
for founders and HR leaders listening. What's the first step here to breaking that cycle without sacrificing the efficiency of what AI provides?
Right. And let's talk about what we do and don't mean by AI doom loop. What we don't mean is like AI is bad, don't use it. Like AI is great. I use AI every day, and there's tons and tons of potential in almost every facet of work and home to make things better, more efficient using AI. But I think, the problem that we've highlighted as the AI doom loop is that the tools available today to both sides are making the problem worse. So what we need are different kinds of AI. Here's a little bit illustrate what I mean by that. If I'm on the job hunt today and I'm rightly seeing as the odds are kind of against me,
Hmm.
what do I have available to me? I have tools to help me read the job description and make my resume look more like what they're asking for in the job description to give myself a better chance, which is
Yep.
fine as far as it goes. But when everybody does that, everybody's resume ends up looking like the job description, and it gets harder and harder for anyone to stand out. Another thing I might do is I might use AI to go out and find a bunch of jobs and automatically apply to many, many more jobs than I would on my own, sometimes hundreds or even thousands of jobs. And there are tools out there that are advertising as go apply to all the jobs on Greenhouse automatically with the push of a button. And again, yeah, as an individual, I get it. You're just trying to get a job, and that's, it's hard right now. But when everybody applies automatically to all the jobs, it gums up the works for everybody. And what you're left with on the customer side, and these are the things that we see at our own customers at Greenhouse, is they open up a job and they see thousands of people in the funnel with no ability to tell any of them apart, and so it gets hard for them to hire. And so they start trying to use AI to like automatically filter that list back down to the like winner. And as a result, that tightens the window for getting that job and it makes people want to apply to even more jobs, and the loop and the sort of cycle continues. That's what we refer to as the doom loop that we have to break. And I think there's a future vision where both sides are using AI, but they're using it in ways that help them get a job, that help them make a hire, and that don't make it worse for everyone else, but actually make it better. So that's what we're trying to get to.
Okay. So are you building then new features specifically for the seekers to help them with this, or what's
Yeah,
your?
well, we already have, right? So we've had a lot of traction already. Last year, we released my dream job as part of my greenhouse portal, and it's gotten tremendous uptake. It's just a small example of the ways that we've started to help job seekers in ways that help employers also. So, what is dream job? In simple terms, when you apply to jobs across multiple greenhouse customers, which happens a lot because we have a lot of customers, you can designate one of those a month as your dream job, and you only get one chip a month. So you better be careful and choose wisely which one you're going to use it on. But what that does is it sort of puts you in a special inbox at the top of the heap in that company's greenhouse.
Mhm.
And so why does that help anyone? Well, as a company, when I open up my role, and remember, they're seeing hundreds or even thousands of undifferentiated applications, they now see, hey, here's someone who very likely really wants this job. They're not just a random applicant that auto applied to every job. And they at least are placing a bet that they're reasonably qualified for the job. Why? Because they only get one of these chips a month. They're not just going to spray and pray. They're going to use it on a job they think they can get. And so it's a really strong signal. And so our customers are loving it. Over 1,500 people already have gotten their dream jobs on the My Greenhouse platform. We've hired a couple of them here at Greenhouse, and those candidates are converting at about 5 times the rate of other applicants. So it's a more efficient way and it's working. So that's an example of where, if you think about it through a slightly different lens than like I think an ATS would,
Mhm.
you can solve a job seeker's problem in a way that makes the system better for everyone, not worse.
Yeah. I saw on your site today, I was on your greenhouse homepage, and I saw something called My Greenhouse, which was kind of a call out for seekers. So they can create their own profile now and things like that. And
Yeah.
is there also a way to search like all of Greenhouse's customers just in terms of all the jobs you have?
Yeah, so it's opt-in for our greenhouse customers to post their jobs in that location. But for a
Okay.
job seeker, absolutely. So when you're on your My Greenhouse profile, if you're looking for a job, you go create a My Greenhouse profile, you save your information in there, you easy apply to a bunch of different jobs, and then you can actually track your status on those jobs right in My Greenhouse. You don't have to check emails or do follow-ups. But there's also a little tab in there.
Oh, you can see
And
your
for,
status on there, like I'm in interview
yeah,
stage or oh, okay.
yeah, you can just tell like how far you are in the funnel. And when the because the whole experience is inside of our infrastructure,
Yeah.
when the customer moves you to the next stage, your portal automatically updates you. You don't have to hope that they email you.
Yeah.
So you just get like a much better, that's another great example where like it's great for candidates. I mean, as long as we can all remember, the number one complaint that job seekers have had is I never hear back, right? I apply to a job, maybe I even get an interview, and then deafening silence. Well, now those job seekers are automatically going to get their status right in their My Greenhouse profile. They don't have to guess, they don't have to wonder where they are, which is a great, nice thing for job seekers to have. But what does it do for the companies, for our customers? It saves them time and energy of having to get back to everyone manually. They don't have to worry that there's like people that are waiting to hear back from them. They have to do an extra step. It just happens automatically. So it saves our customer time and money, makes the process move faster and more efficiently by solving a job seeker problem. So that's the mentality that we're trying to bring to the party here. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Do you also, the rejection piece of this is something that I think ATS is also miss a lot where do you prompt your clients to go in there and make sure that you would, if the job is ended, reject those candidates they're not going to deal with, like
Yeah,
just
Greenhouse
close
has
that loop?
yeah, so Greenhouse has always had that feature basically since we launched, where when you disposition a candidate, that it pops up an automatic, template for you to send them an email, and then you just quickly like edit it, hit OK. Of course, they can hit escape and cancel and not do it, but the default is that they're prompted to do this. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
What we've done recently, again, in line with this updated mission, is we built a feature called Greenhouse Verified, which is to say, because they're doing that stuff in Greenhouse, we know that there are some hiring managers that always get back to you when they disposition you, and some that don't. And the ones who do earn a badge in Greenhouse that's called Greenhouse Verified that verifies their behavior, which we can do because they do it in Greenhouse, that says they're always going to get back to you. And when you're looking for jobs, don't you want to apply for jobs where you feel like they're going to get back to you?
Right.
So we have a bunch of things that customers do in Greenhouse that job seekers really want to know about. Like, do they actually fill in their scorecards after interviews or do they just wing it? Well, we know when they fill in their scorecards and they get a greenhouse verified badge. And so bringing that transparency helps those companies that are doing great hiring behavior to stand out. And it helps the job seekers hone in on like where they're not going to be wasting their time. So you're starting to see a pattern here, hopefully, of how we can of how we're thinking about these things.
Yeah. Daniel, the resume in 2026, does that still have a place here? Are we moving towards this sort of profile system for seekers or
We're not there yet, right? We've been on a mission to make hiring work for everyone for about a week and a half right now, so we got a ways to go. Um, but yeah, look, I think over time, what we're really thinking about long term is we're moving into a world where AI is going to be increasingly everywhere in everyone's life, and so at home, you'll have an AI agent that is helping you in your day-to-day life with like paying bills and like keeping on top of your, daily life. And so when you go to look for a job, you'll probably have an AI agent doing that as well. And in that world, what's a better representation of you to a potential employer? A resume, like a static rectangle with your name at the top, that's been the same for 100 years, or a living dynamic agent, an AI agent, that can represent you and that can show up and say, "Hey, I've got this guy Chris. Here's what he's good at. Here's the kind of job he wants. Here's the culture he'll thrive in. I think he'd be right. You should look at him for these type of jobs." And so, obviously, like I said, we're not there yet, but I think we are preparing for a world where increasingly it's less about static documents like job ads and resumes and more about dynamic conversations on both sides to try to find better and more efficient, matches.
when is that coming, Daniel? Is it 5 years away?
God, I don't,
Take a
making
guess. Yeah.
predictions about AI is a fool's errand. I don't know if you've seen the stories last week about like Moltbot,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I was just reading about those guys.
I don't know about you. I didn't have AI creates its own religion on my bingo card for the year. So I think, it's easy to, I don't know, easy, but, I think about a long-term vision of like you can make some predictions based on sort of how things are shaping up, where it's headed. To predict what's going to happen in any given month or quarter or even year is just like we just don't know. It's just changing so fast.
Yeah. You mentioned Clear, which you launched last year for identity verification. So I saw your post about Greenhouse Real Talent. Are you kind of like productizing that whole verification feature set into
Yeah,
Greenhouse?
so Real Talent just went live this week. We've been working on it for the better part of 6 months. And it's really think about it like it's like a triple layer of trust
Triple
that
A. Okay.
customers need. Like it's not just identity verification, but if you step back, they need to know, is this a high intent or a low intent applicant? Like, is this actually someone that just like randomly applied, automatically, or is this someone that's actually like a reasonably good fit for the job? So there is a employer calibration and talent matching portion of this that actually looks at the job description, the scorecards, walks the employer through a process of calibrating their search, and then helps them hone in on who they should look at first in their pipeline. So that's the first layer. The second layer is looking at patterns of technical and behavioral signals to try to identify the bad actors out there. And there are concerted efforts to infiltrate organizations. And so it looks at, IP addresses and known bad, email aliases and all kinds of other signals to try to help separate the true job seekers from the bad guys that are gumming up the works. And again, helping both sides. That's the second layer. And then, yeah, the third layer is identity verification. In a remote online world, it's important to know, is the person I'm talking to who they claim they are, and is the same person that's like say showing up on the first day of job the same person that I interviewed a few weeks back. And so having a sense of who that identity is really important in the online world. So we built all three layers of that trust into Real Talent. And notably, I think one of the harder parts of it was, we had to think through not only the security and kind of trust and protection issues, but the employee experience, the DE&I, the inclusive aspects of it, because this stuff has to work for everybody. And so we convened a panel of experts in that area, focused specifically on how's this going to affect job seekers. Are we sure that this is fair? And we're not just asking you to take our word for it. We've got a monthly audit through Warden AI. It's published on our website. You can go look, and we're making sure that we're being fair and unbiased in how we build these things.
Yeah. You mentioned the IP addresses before. Kind of got me thinking. Will you ever come up with a feature that will like shut off applications coming in from other countries you're not gonna never gonna hire from? Because kind of like the overseas traffic on a lot of the job boards and employer sites is out there. You think you'll ever do something like that?
I think it's a lot more nuanced than that. I don't think you shut people off, especially in a position where we are, where we're trying to make hiring work for everyone. Like preventing someone's access to getting a job
Yep.
is a big deal. And so we really aren't trying to do that. I think what we can do though is we can take some signals like what device you're on and are you calling in from a an actual phone or a VoIP line. And what you see is these things change over time, but there are certain telltale signatures of certain kind of bad guy rings that security professionals know about that the rest of us don't. We use those signals just to give some information to our customers, who are, by the way, asking for it, in some cases, collecting it on their own in ways that may not be subject to the same rigorous, audits and bias. So we're trying to bring this stuff out of the shadows and into a place where it's just like a signal you look at like any other to know who you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And it's something customers are super interested in.
Here's a suggestion for you if you're open to one.
Just lay it on
So
me.
one thing I've always wanted to see on an ATS is when it comes to attribution of where your traffic is coming from to these job listings, right, Daniel? So
Yeah.
I use one of my tools I use on my website is called Stack Counter, and I can go in there and I can see the IP addresses of who's coming to the web page, and
Yeah.
it tells me what browser they're using, tells me what country they're coming from, where they came from, that kind of stuff. I'd love to see that data level on the admin there and the reports for where my traffic is coming from a job listing standpoint. I
Yeah.
think it's easy to collect for you, like X
Yeah.
number of clicks coming in from Google for Jobs, X number of clicks coming in from Indeed, things like that. I mean, do you have that now, or
Yeah,
how
so
much
there's
does that
there
help?
are a couple things that we do in there. One, yes, I mean there's attribution on the source of the job. So for every application, Greenhouse tracks and shows the customer, did they apply through, say, LinkedIn? Was this a candidate that you sourced maybe through an email campaign or met at a campus event or was brought in by an agency or whatever the attribution is? Maybe it's an employer referral. That's tracked and monitored in Greenhouse, and our customers can run a bunch of reports on it to look for trends. The other thing you're talking about though is like the technical details of logging, like the IP address, the device fingerprint, et cetera, that they applied on. And what that's less used like proactively for people to look at. First of all, it's kind of irrelevant to whether you're going to hire the person. It's not something you need to really know ahead of time. What it often is used for is like forensically. So after they've discovered, hey, we've been hacked or we've been approached by a deep fake North Korean spy trying to get a job, which I've had lots of customers uh, walk me through examples of exactly that happening.
Yeah,
Then they want to go back and look at the logs of that one person that they already know was bad and go figure out what happened so they can watch for it in the future. So it's less about if you're applying for a job, you don't need to worry that like your device is going to be shown to that employer and they're going to like know you have an iPhone or what country you're in. It's more
yeah,
about, if you're a bad guy, we're fingerprinting you and we can go back and find out and stop you.
fair enough. Let's talk about, when you get 1,000 applications for a job on
Yeah.
Greenhouse. I saw one of your customers yesterday posted something about here's what happens when I get your resume or get your application in a Greenhouse, and she walked us through the whole steps of this.
Yeah.
I was curious, like if you get 1,000 resumes or 1,000 applications on Greenhouse, is it advantageous to be sort of the first 50 of those in terms of just getting through the process, do you think, Daniel?
Yes, advice for job seeker, absolutely. And our data shows that you're way more likely to get hired if you're one of the first people to apply to a job. If for no other reason, then employers aren't going to read 1,000 or 2,000 resumes. So they'll read
Right.
enough to feel good about the pipeline they've built, and then that's that. Which is why, again, you can create a My Greenhouse profile. You can subscribe to job alerts for jobs you want to know about. You go to a company's website, you don't see the job opening, or maybe you do, but you want to find out about other ones. You put in the keywords you're interested in or the concepts you're interested in, and you'll get emailed right away when that job opens up, and you can be one of the first to apply. Again, great solve for interested job seekers and real job seekers in a way that also helps our customers hone in on exactly the most interested talent. So yeah, absolutely, applying early is a big win. Now, should it be? That's another question. And like, are there better ways to like give everyone a fair chance, even if they didn't see the job posting for a day or two? Like that's
Yeah.
a big part of what we're working on as well.
Do you think we'll see a day here when everyone gets interviewed with the AI agents out there in terms of just making the process more fair and equitable?
I think so. I'm maybe I don't know if this is a hot take anymore or like maybe by the time someone listens to this it's old news, but like I personally think AI interviewing is coming. And I think there's the potential to have it be fairer, more accurate, and a better experience than human interviews. And I get the skepticism. I share the skepticism. All I can say is I've spent, the better part of my career here trying to make human interviews not be so bad because we all know the baseline is pretty
Yeah.
bad. So I'm an optimist that I think with enough effort and with the right intentionality, we can make online interviewing with an AI better than what's out there today. I don't think perfect is in the realm of where we'll get to now or where we are now, certainly, or where it can get to, but I think we can make a big improvement over the status quo. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the ATS market overall and the job market and stuff. Tons of consolidation in the market happening, HR tech space, Daniel. Just give me some thoughts on that. It seems like the rich are getting richer, the big guys are getting bigger, and there's a lot of fallout happening. So, what's your take on everything?
I mean, it's an interesting time, which I believe is
Is
a
the golden age
curse.
of HR tech over, or is it sort of
I don't know about no, I don't think so at all. I mean, if anything, I think from where I sit, and that's mostly what I know, is I think there's more opportunity than ever. I think when we were starting in 2012 and kind of in the year leading up to that, the idea that you could build a meaningful company in recruiting was really most people didn't believe it. And if I told those people then that there would be, by my count, at least four ATS companies valued at $1 billion or more, like never would have believed it. So I do think that there's been a huge amount of value created. And yet when I look forward, I'm like, there's nothing but opportunity. I mean, let's just look at my t-shirt. I'm wearing a t-shirt that says make hiring work for everyone. And if you think that's already a solved problem, like you and I are on different planets. It's definitely not. And I think there's a huge amount of value that we can create in continuing to solve that problem. I think we're at the very, very early stage. I think AI is, you know, new on the scene and as much impact as it's already had, I think we're going to look back on this as the musty old days when it hadn't even really gotten real yet. So there's so much more change and so much more problems to solve in the future that I think there's a lot more to do.
yeah. Um, Couple of lawsuits recently. Of course, the workday stuff, and then the new one about Eightfold. It seems like plaintiffs, the people suing these companies, want to see more transparency and explainability from hiring systems,
Yeah.
especially if AI is scoring them or ranking them somehow. Talk about that a bit and how you're approaching it there at Greenhouse, and just
Yeah, look, I empathize. I mean, they're applying for jobs and not getting anywhere. And so, that's kind of the default feeling out there for a lot of people. You look for a reason. And is it some secret algorithm that's, biased against me? Is it that they're pulling data about me that's inaccurate, that employers are making decisions based on using some dark algorithm that I can't see? Like, it's worrying. I get it. Um, I think from our perspective, we've been extremely clear to bring our legal department, our HR department, and the DE&I team, our own talent acquisition experts into the product development process early and often, side by side with designers and product managers and programmers, thinking through how do we build these technologies in a way that's going to actually solve the problems and not subject us, our customers, or their candidates to additional risk. Like the that's the mindset that we've had. And I think you've seen people that have rushed a lot of AI out to market,
yep,
and I think that's coming back to roost a little bit and, for some of those folks. And I think being a little bit more on the thoughtful side, a year ago, people were like, guys, come on, what's happening? We're like, well, we're, doing our homework and making sure this is going to work, well for everyone. And I think now we're starting to see some of the fruits of that in the work that we've done.
yeah. I get this feeling that we're gonna have to have like some kind of just, here's your rejection email, here's what you gave that company, maybe just kind of like a snapshot of your data set that they looked at or something like that, like some kind of just feedback or information.
I think candidates should expect transparency. I mean,
Yeah,
and if nothing else, it's really good customer service. I mean, if you're hiring, let's just think about the math. If you open up a role, let's say even before all this current craziness in the job market, just for round numbers, you open up a role, you get 100 applicants, you make one hire, you've got 99 people that you encountered that you aren't hiring. So like
right.
almost all of recruiting is dealing with people that you're not going to hire. Like people sometimes lose track of that. They think it's hiring, but no, like hiring is a very small part of it.
Yeah,
Mostly
you're in
it's
the
dealing with people
rejection
you're not
business
gonna,
is the
you're not going to hire.
cliche.
So if you're not treating those people well, like it's gonna hurt your reputation. It's going to make it harder for you to recruit in the future, and it's going to hurt your brand.
Absolutely. I used to have a product called Rejobify where we would take the rejection email, which is make it sound nice with a good tone and offer them some resources to continue their search,
What a
it's something
world,
simple that doesn't cost you anything. It just gives a lot of goodwill towards the people you are
right? I mean,
rejecting.
what a world it would be if everybody did stuff like that.
There you go. Um, the job market, Daniel,
Yeah.
seems like we're in a low hire, low fire environment. That's the vibe I'm getting. What are you seeing? What are your clients telling you?
Yeah, I think, it's the job market is not just one thing. It's not a monolith. And so I think it's extremely different depending on where you're looking, both geographically, different countries, different even regions within the US, but different job markets altogether. So if you're a home healthcare aide or a nurse right now, you're a hot commodity, right? If you're a programmer, you better have AI. Like that market has divided. If you're like an AI capable engineer, like you're a hot commodity. If you're not, it's tough sledding out there. So I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's very, very dependent on exactly what type of jobs that you're talking about. And so I think what that means for job seekers is, if you're like many people and you're not in one of those hot areas, which is a lot of folks, you just got to buckle up for what's going to be a pretty arduous job search, and it's not going to feel like the system is in your favor. You gotta try to gain an advantage, and you got to be smart and put in a lot of effort. I wish there
Yeah,
was a happier answer, and I'm working on it.
no, definitely. My nephew, he was a computer science grad recently, and he just got a job down in Durham for a data center software company, being like a solutions engineer, sales
Yeah.
engineer kind of thing. So he's sort of pivoted a little bit there. But
Congratulations.
yeah, what's up?
I said congratulations.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he just moved down there. So good luck, Alex, if you're watching. Um, as we end up here, Daniel, what's one thing to expect from Greenhouse in 2026? What do you want to preview or tell the market?
Yeah, look, I think we're going to continue to roll out safe, trusted, and compliant AI solutions. We've done some so far, but I think, again, breaking the AI doom loop means giving people better tools to find jobs and to make hires. And so we're really leaning in hard on doing that. We've greenlit a multi-million-dollar investment surge in product and R&D to really build great solutions that help both sides of the problem get jobs
Awesome. When can we expect some new announcements, if at all, this year?
every day.
Every day.
We're
Okay.
constantly, I mean, there's the big
Yeah.
tentpole
How,
thing.
how do you just throw them out there, or do you have like quarterly thing,
No, I
or
don't get to just throw stuff out there. It's all very, I mean, so our engineering team, we do have a small portion of our engineering team that we set aside for kind of opportunistic stuff. Hey,
Mhm.
like a customer, needs this thing. It's going to be high value. It's going to be low effort. Like let's ship a little bit of surprise and delight. But generally speaking, like the roadmap is pretty committed because we have thousands, 7,000 plus customers and a lot of stuff to go do that's along our own vision. And so we have to be a little bit planful about what we do when.
Awesome. Well, Daniel Chait from Greenhouse Software, appreciate you joining us today. Always a great chat, and stay in touch, man.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
All right, that will do for this episode of the RecTech Podcast, also part of the Purple Acorn Network. Thanks again to Jobcase and Dahlia for their sponsorship. Be sure to follow myself and RecTech Media on LinkedIn. See every podcast, video, and blog we publish. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, always be recruiting.